What's the longest quest in the entire game? Is it Labyrinth of Legends? Is it the Abyss? Well, technically, it's actually the Incursions, since Incursions can go on infinitely, but we don't actually have access to the Incursions on the Content Creator Beta. I mean, why does this even matter? Well, I'm going to go to the next best place, the next longest quest that I could personally think of, at least, which is in Act 6. Act 6, Chapter 1, Quest number 3. And if we take a look at just the sheer size of this quest, it's unreal. And it has to do with the pathing. You can actually take this outer path all the way around, and it's been a long time since I've been in here, but I think after going all the way around, then you can kind of cut in, take this little path here, and then continue going all the way around. Like, this is the marathon quest of marathon quests. And why is that important? Well, you see, Odin just got a new synergy with Angela. Or should I say Angela got a new synergy with Odin? I care about Angela as a champion. She's quickly become one of my favorites. She actually doesn't need any synergies whatsoever. She is the definition of, practicality in this game. You don't have to play any fancy way. Just 5-hit combos, special ones, can be used with any mastery setup. She's just an awesome champion since her buff. And her synergy with Odin here, well, there's kind of two. This first synergy, the actual synergy part here, says that you gain plus 5% buff potency for each fight the team has won. And Angela, she's all about buffs, so increasing that potency is just gonna, make Angela that much better of a champion. Now, I'm going to be testing with my 6-star rank 3 Angela here, which is overkill for Act 6.1. However, I really wanted to test with the 6-star rank 3 and not the 565, because I legit think that Angela is better than most Cosmic champions today. Like, if my 6-star was awakened on the live servers, believe it or not, I would rather rank up Angela over someone like Cap Marvel. I think she's that good. It really hurts her awaken ability. Now, the second thing that Odin brings to the table is Angela. She typically will require a pretty high sig level in order to get like the full debuff duration, just eliminating damaging debuffs essentially, along with the nullify and auto block ability accuracy, all that stuff. You need her at a high sig level. However, Odin is going to give Angela 3 buffs, making the biggest downside of Angela just kind of disappear. And I have it pulled up here on Aunt May. Let's take a look real quick before I get into the actual fighting. If you have Angela at Sig 60, that means she'll have about a 20% damaging debuff duration, minus 20% per buff. Same thing with nullify and auto block ability accuracy. So if you get 5 buffs on Angela, then you are going to completely eliminate all of these things. You don't need Angela at a high sig level anymore. Sig 60 is good enough. And I feel like sig stones are so hard to come by that this might not be realistic for me still, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for a lot of people to have a 6-star at 660. Maybe people were disappointed in those polls initially, but now having a decent sig level on Angela, turns out it's pretty legit. So let me go ahead and I'm going to pop these pre-fights, and we're just gonna kind of rev Angela up. And why I want to test this specifically is actually for the incursions. I think Angela can become a really powerful incursion champion with the way her healing works and all that stuff. So I'll explain as we go, but essentially I'm giving Angela plus 15% aptitude here, which increases her fury, armor up, and precision buffs by 15%, but also just counts as a buff. I'm also giving her this protection, which means she cannot lose more than 15% health from a single source, which again, think about the incursions when the opponents have like 50,000 attack. This is insane, man. I cannot stress how good this buff is in the right situations. In this current quest, it's probably not going to make or break my experience, but we got to think about where this can be applied to that I just don't have access to on the CCP currently. And then also 90% shock resistance. That's pretty wild too. I don't know if there's any opponents in here that can actually shock me, but yeah, it seems pretty good. So this is going to be the first fight, and I'm not going to show every single fight here because there's just too many. But I will keep count of them, and I'll show you every, I don't know, maybe 5 or so fights, and we'll just see how this goes. So first fight in here, I forgot to check what nodes this guy has. Looks like there's some sort of weakness. I guess that's the weakness if I'm close to him. But the damage should be pretty good here. It's gonna start out being maybe on the lower side compared to a standard 6-3 champion. It's still pretty good, to be honest. But I have class advantage here, to be fair, and everything. But okay, so that was the first fight. Pretty good. But again, this is overkill for the content I'm currently in. I'm just trying to kind of use this as a testing ground for the future. So I'm gonna skip ahead a few fights, and we'll catch up around fight 5 or so. Okay, I've just completed my 4th fight. So this will be the 5th fight against Groot, and I just want to give you guys a little refresher about what this buff actually does before we go into the fight itself. Buff potency we generally think of as aptitude, and aptitude's a little bit different because aptitude only affects certain buffs, whereas buff potency, that affects everything, which includes Angela's healing. Now, before we get into this fight, I want to explain just why Angela is so good with the Suicide Masteries in particular. For each 10% max health taken in damage, gain an indefinite resilience charge. So what's interesting about this is when you have the poison on yourself from the Suicide Masteries, the Liquid Courage poison, you're losing health, but you're also mostly balancing it out because of willpower. However, that health that you're losing, you know, whenever you lose just a certain number of health, you're going to gain one of these resilience charges. But now that we're even increasing that healing potency just that much more, like, dude, she's always going to be topped off. This is going to be crazy. So this first fight is probably not going to be crazy with only plus 20% increased potency. But I haven't used any items yet. I'm still totally topped off. Let's see how this fight goes. And notice, like I said, how I'm losing some health because of the Suicide Masteries, but that heal kicks in way before I get to actual, you know, 90% health, and that's because willpower was also, you know, kind of helping out to reduce that incoming damage. But on top of that, you know, my attack is increased from the Fury buffs. As soon as I go over 2 bars of power, now I gain these crit buffs that is going to make most of my attacks, you know, critical hits. And yeah, Angela, she's chopping down this group pretty good here. Also the recoil, you know, I didn't take any recoil damage this fight, but that's totally a non-issue even without the Odin synergy, just because of how Angela's healing works. All right, so that was the 5th fight. Oh, I see how this quest works. I couldn't take this path right here. I thought I'd be able to for this Hawkeye. It forced me to fight Jane Foster here. Okay, so maybe not as many fights as I thought, but this is still going to be a lot of fights. All right, with Jane Foster going down, that was the 15th fight of the quest. So I now have 75% increased buff potency. Keep in mind, doing the incursions, you could take 3 fights per incursion room, so you could literally have 30 fights under your belt by the time you you know, get through room 10, which is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Like, that's when the content really starts to get like very hard in incursions, even for high-level champions. When you reach those double-digit rooms. And being able to take out 30 opponents in the incursions like that'd be 150% potency. So I'm only at 75%. I'm not sure which way will give me the longest path around, because it's been so long since I've done this quest. So I'm going to take a right, and we'll see what happens here. But this will be the 16th fight, so let's go ahead and take a peek and see how we're doing in terms of damage now, and healing and all that. By the way, this is the node here, the long distance relationship. This is what's kind of hurting my damage a little bit, but she's still starting to juice up pretty good. So let's see how this looks with Angela now. So the healing amount doesn't change until we get the actual heal going. We need the heal buff, not just the willpower heal. And I also need a Fury buff from going into 1 bar of power. Okay. And now I have 2 Fury buffs, and I'm soon to have a 3rd Fury buff. You're going to see this recoil damage means pretty much nothing. That health is all just going to come right on back. Mess that up. That's okay. And there we go, man. That's a 17k. That's a 17k medium and an 11k light attack. Okay. This is pretty awesome. Okay, just completed my 25th fight, which means I now have plus 125% potency. And now it looks like I'm given the option to, let me see, either do 4 fights right up the middle or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we're definitely going around. We got more fights. So let's take a closer look at this next fight. See how the damage is looking after 25 total fights. One against an opponent that can heal. Let's see if Deadpool's healing will slow down Angela at all. Notice how, like, before she gains a Fury buff, her damage is kind of pathetic. But then, as soon as I cross that single bar of, you know, power threshold, all of a sudden her damage comes online real quick. And now, suddenly, she's hitting pretty hard. Oh my god. It's just so good. Angela. The damage. All right, I'll check in with you guys at a few more fights. All right, I'm actually at 29 fights won currently. There's so many things that are kind of left unanswered for me right now, so I'm gonna try to figure that out. So, you know, we're increasing buff potency, right? Let me read the description just one more time, because there might be some craziness here that I'm gonna test. So hold on. Okay, so plus 5% buff potency for each fight the team has won. So this does not say Angela's buff potency, right? It doesn't say specifically Angela's buffs. It just says buff potency. So does that mean that the buffs that I'm applying to myself from Odin are actually being increased in potency as well? This is really interesting. So that 90% shock resist buff, if it's increased by, I mean, I'm almost at 30 fights won at this point, so let's just say 150% potency. What does that do? Or what about the protection or the aptitude buff? Like, I'm gonna try to get hit. I'm gonna get hit with a heavy attack, and I mean, it's only a rogue. She only has 5,600. I'll try to get hit by something else after this fight as well. But let me just get hit by a heavy attack intentionally. And okay, I mean, that still did a bit of damage to me. I don't know if it was being capped by the protection buff or what. I wish there was an opponent with shock in here that I can test to see how that's working. But in the meanwhile, here's the damage. Here's how that's looking. It's looking quite nice. So let's see what a special 2 looks like here. Okay, didn't quite get the crits. That's unfortunate. That's a bummer there. But yeah, damage-wise, she's pretty good. She's doing all right. So that was actual 30 fights in. And this is, you know, I'm not trying to say that this is practical to do while questing or while an alliance war or anything like that. I'm strictly testing to see, like, what her max potential is if you were to take her in something like the incursion. So now Ghost is the boss. This is the 30. Wait, what? I can go back around? That means I can fight these guys even. I'm gonna do that. I had no idea the game allowed you to do this for this quest. Okay, all right, let's take on some additional fights, I guess. I guess I'll get this up to 35 fights in total. All right, let's do it. All right, now we're up against a Korg. Man, they really give it to you on this path with Caltrops. Well, Caltrops isn't going to matter, but okay. Korg, the rock stacks should be a little bit of an issue, but again, the healing from Angela, it should balance things out fine enough. All right, rock stacks are down. And I wonder what I can get hit by intentionally to really show and really test that protection, that interaction with Odin and Angela. I guess it is going to come down to the final boss, because the rest of these guys, they just, I don't even think they have it in them to hit me as hard as I need to be hit, basically. Well, let's see how a special 2 looks from Angela at this stage of the game here. Okay, we had a 24 crit at the end of it there, and that was again another 22k medium to finish things off. Not bad, not bad. Moving on, we have a war machine. What nodes are on this war machine, I wonder? Ah, it doesn't look like anything too important. By the way, I think I have 33 fights under my belt now, so the buff counter, it's still continuing to grow. And this war machine, oh, actually all that additional power gain that he has, that's kind of annoying. Ooh, I'm gonna get hit by this intentionally. That looked like it dealt some pretty good damage to me still, so I don't think the protection buff potency increases. Let's see, I'm gonna get hit by this one again as soon as I get up to 100% health again, which I have now. So hit me with that special, buddy. Special 2, I'm gonna tank it on purpose. No, that looks like it still only capped the damage at 15%. Okay. So, interesting. I guess the Odin's buffs, the potency of those don't actually increase. Because otherwise, like, that would be so crazy if it did. So I'm not really surprised that it doesn't increase the Odin's buff potency, but at the same time, it had to be tested, so, okay. Alright, one more fight before the ghost boss. This one is Omega Red, again with a bunch of nodes that I just don't care about because Caltrops, I'm fully immune to that, being Angela, with all the buffs on myself. I wonder, you know what? I'm going to get hit by a heavy attack from Omega Red intentionally. Nope, couldn't do anything. That's awesome, man. Not, you know, normally you're not going to be getting hit by Omega Red's heavy attack like that anyway. It's usually a more offensive tool to have, but sometimes it happens, man. Sometimes if you get that degen, that could be lights out for you. But, okay, not for Angela. All right, we have one final fight for this quest. That is, wow, it's a lot of energy to make it to this point, but we finally made it. 35 fights in. This is the 36th fight of this quest, and yeah, let's really see what we can do here against this ghost. You got Limber, True Strike, Aggression, Cruelty, Critical, Enhanced Crits, Godslayer. Okay, I don't care about any of this stuff. I might intentionally tank a special 2 just because I really want to see that that nice damage cap out. Should only hit me for about 45% in total. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, I don't want her to throw a special 1. I'm going to intentionally try to push through a special 2. That was a 20k medium with only 2 Furies on myself. Okay. 18k. Oh, stop throwing your specials, Ghost. Don't do this. Alright, I might have to just tank a special 1 from her. Let's see if we can intentionally get hit by a special 1. Okay. Okay, that's 4 hits, so yeah, it makes sense that it would be even more. Let's see how this... Let's look at the healing for a moment, since this is the final fight. So, the poison on myself is ticking away for 107, and the healing with the willpower just from 1 debuff, just from the poison, and the actual heal buff on myself is now 300. So, yeah, I would say she's incredibly sustainable when running suicides. It legit does increase her her survivability. All right, let's finish it off with a special 3. There's 0% chance Ghost survives this. I wish I could see what the final damage number was, but she's done for, man. She's totally done for. All right, so this was a lot of fun going through this quest, man. 36 fights. Again, rank 3 Angela, a bit overkill for Act 6.1, but a 5-star at rank 4 Angela would have shred this quest as well. And I really am curious to see what Angela's max potential is in something like the Incursions. When, you know, 30 fights in, that's only, like I said, zone 10. So we can really push that even further, and just, you know, maybe get her up to like 60 fights. Well, 60 fights, that's a bit much. Maybe like 45 fights in the Incursions, you know, which is crazy. So one last thing before I end off this video, just to really explain exactly what is going on here. So the buff potency, I'm mostly increasing the buff potency of the heal and of the furies, because I'm mostly staying in that that single bar of power threshold, that between 1 and 2 bars, which gives you that fury. Landing a critical hit when you're at that point, it will give you another fury buff, and then launching the special one will give you a a third fury buff potentially. Now, in very long fights, you can actually use Angela's special 3, which will give her an aptitude, which that aptitude would also get its potency increased. So we could see some really crazy damage numbers out of Angela if there were fights that a special 3 would be necessary in. So special 3 followed by building up those furies on the special 1, which would just, yeah, it would make her furies really just that much more out of control. And I would love to test that when everything goes live. When Odin is available on the live servers, I will definitely grind for him and try to do an incursion run with my 5-star Angela. Probably, I'm really just having a lot of fun with Angela. Like I said, she is the definition of practicality. Just strong utility, not requiring any sort of abnormal style of play, and just has that heal to kind of back up and cover up the little mistakes that happen. That heal combined with the pre-fights from Odin, where you gain that protection, it's just such a sustainable combo. So in any case, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.